Welcome back to the Marching to Madness College Basketball Podcast, where I have one of my favorite people in the business, Coach Stan Johnson of the Loyola Marymount Lions. They're currently 12-6 overall and in the middle of a deep West Coast conference this season as they're 13th in the nation in steals, averaging 7.1 a game. Coach, thanks for coming on with me and welcome back.
That's good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir. Now, we talked about this a little bit off the camera. You had an 84-66 win over Georgetown, and then beat a game Wake Forest team in overtime in Montego Bay around the beginning of the season. It feels like it was a long time ago. How has that been a springboard for your team going forward?
Yeah, like we said, it feels like a decade ago. That was obviously a great tournament to go and win. I felt like it gave our guys a great boost, for the last couple of years. It's been difficult. I mean, we took over in the height of COVID, and even my second year, we were still dealing with that. And right now we're at a point where we have some normalcy. So that was the first sign of some normalcy for our group, having the chance to experience something like that. But now it's growing from that and trying to get better every day and every game, and having a level of consistency. We've played 4 conference games. Our first game at Portland against a really good Portland team, a well-coached Portland team, that's done some great things as well, especially last year, and high expectations coming to this year. So we went in there and I thought we played our best game of the year. And then we went to Pacific, and Pacific, I think, is a lot better than what everybody said. Pacific played really well. I felt like we played our worst game of the year, and we came back, played a really good game against BYU. And, I thought we played really good against San Francisco in terms of our effort and energy. Not that smart though. And, you lose a 1-possession game there. So this league's really good. It's hard to find a rhythm, but we have to do that if we're going to go where we want to go.
Sure. Now, you're 2-2 at the WCC. Your defense against the 3 has been eye-popping, I've thought, because it shows how strong I think you guys are on the perimeter. Allowing only 6.2 makes per game, and your opponents shoot only 30.9%.
Yeah, we've really grown in that area. I challenged my group after Christmas. Our goal is to be a top 60, top 70 defense nationally. And if you can do that, you put yourself in a good position to have a great year. And where we were prior to Christmas was very average. We've moved up, I think, 40 spots in KenPom defensively over the last 4 games. But we need that. And in our league, anywhere now, I mean, the 3 ball is so important and so many people shoot it. And it's one of the things I thought we did a poor job against San Francisco. I mean, they made 10. They made 10 and we lost by 2. So that just shows you how important that is. But overall, I felt like our guys have bought into that, and we're doing a good job of not only, making a miss, but trying to limit attempts. That's a big part of what we're trying to do.
Cam Shelton, 4th leading scorer in the league, and he's also the lead assist man there in the WCC. How has his game taken off to the point it has gotten to as of now? I know he came over from Northern Arizona a couple of years ago.
Yeah, Cam came over last year, and he really struggled for a guy like him. Sometimes I tell people all the time, transfers, it can take 6 months, it can take a year. For Cam, it took a year. To his credit, though, he has worked. He's put so much time into the film room. He's put a lot of time into changing his shot, a lot of time into making his teammates better, seeing the play before the play happens. And what you're seeing from Cam is not surprising. It's a lot of work and a lot of time that he's put in to grow and get better and to do what he's doing is impressive. And I'm extremely happy for him because he's put a lot of work in. The beauty of it though is he's got a lot of room to grow still,
Mm-hmm.
and hopefully that's the ceiling for our team as he continues to improve.
The players themselves, when they see him working as much as he does that kind of filter over to them? And
Sure.
maybe he's a little bit of a leader there.
Yeah, no, he's been a tremendous leader. He's been a great example,
Mm-hmm.
example of what to do.
Mm-hmm.
Again, as you're building the program, it's always good to have guys that show the way and
Mm-hmm.
lead the way. And Cam is somebody who doesn't only talk the talk, he walks the walk. And I think our guys see that and it inspires a lot of people.
That's great. I was looking at some numbers and things on Ken Palm. He's a huge key for you guys in effective field goal percentage as well as true shooting percentage. Those two categories. How have you seen him improve his shooting game since he came aboard last year?
Well, he's getting his shot off a lot faster.
Mm-hmm.
And one of it is mental. He's not in between. He's not, should I pass, should I shoot? He's very decisive in what he's doing. But he's cleaned up the rhythm of his shot as well.
Sure.
Much smoother shot. And he's not timid, so when you get that out of your mind, you're just playing basketball and you're letting the game come to you, good things happen and percentages go up. So his confidence comes from his preparation, and his preparation has allowed him to just be a player, not a thinker.
Kelly Lopepe, he's a solid scorer. He gets 14.6 points and he shoots over 50% from the floor. How do his skills give him such major opportunities at finding shots?
Well, Kelly's an interesting guy, for his size. He can do a lot. He can post up, he can take you off
Mm-hmm.
the dribble, he can shoot threes. The last few years, couple of years, he was a center, really undersized center. Now we're playing him more at the four. So,
Yeah.
he's a tough matchup because you got to make a decision. Do you switch with him? Switch with him, you put smaller guys on him. He's able to use his strength. Do you hedge with him? If you hedge, you can throw back and he's shooting open threes. So I think his versatility and moving him away from the five, playing him at the four, him not banging against bigger guys, having more energy on the offensive end has helped his game grow a lot.
It's good. It's good to hear for you there. And then Jalen Anderson, it finds 15.3 shots per game. It always amazes me how players go about finding, the shots they want. So he's second to Cam Shelton on the team in that category. So are there differences in ways that you help these kids find shots inside their offense, or is it maybe part of the flow of a game?
Yeah, well, I think it's a combination of a lot of things, but our biggest philosophy here is, the ball, that will find the open man.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's how we try to play, and it's not my shot, it's our shot.
Mm-hmm.
And the way we play offense, when we're flowing in our flow game, our motion, it's a lot of ball movement, and the ball's got to find the open man, and we try to play off that. So there's a lot of freedom in what we're doing, and Jalen in some degree has been the beneficiary of some of that.
Yep. How do you create that type of freedom within your team?
Well, I think it's a philosophy. Again, I
Mm-hmm.
think one of the things I tell our guys, the better defense you play, the more freedom I'll give you offensively.
Yeah.
It's one of those things. And then the second thing is the pace. We want to play at a much faster pace. And our whole thing is the ball's got to move, and the
Mm-hmm.
body's got to move. And so it's teaching guys to not have the ball stick, not over dribbling, sprinting, through the lane with your cuts. So it's more that kind of philosophy that leads to shots for everybody. Our
Mm-hmm.
thing for our team is the whole's got to be greater than the sum of the parts. And
Sure.
we have a leading scorer, second leading scorer, but the way we're built, we don't really have a guy like that. We got to do it by committee, and
Mm-hmm.
so that's kind of the messaging and the principles and how we teach it.
off the rebound in that type of fast break of that type of offense, do you have like set plays that go into a secondary break? And if so, how many? I mean, some people, they have a whole offense.
Our half court offense, if you saw our playbook, it's pretty extensive. But the reality of it is, we never want to get to it. Meaning, if we can get stops, we want to run out and be in flow game. Flow game is our motion, where we open up the floor, it's pick and roll basketball, and everybody's touching it. So a lot of our offense this year has been more that than it has been set driven. And now we need to call something after a dead ball, whatever, we'll do that. But I want to give our guys freedom to play. I think it's a harder thing to scout for and prepare for, because you can't sit on one thing, where in a set you could take away stuff, so that's the balance. And our guys have done a pretty good job of flowing and being responsible with the freedom they've been given.
As you look at the West Coast Conference this year, it feels to me like it's deeper, than it has ever been, maybe. And how does that change game planning from night to night?
Well, I think our league is as good as it's ever been.
Yeah.
Ever. From top to bottom. I don't know who the bottom is.
Yeah.
Everybody's good. Everybody's good. Good players, good coaches at every school. People are competing at a high level. The level of basketball has gone up tremendously. So from a preparation standpoint, it's very difficult. Everybody has a different challenge that they present, and everybody kind of plays a different style. But the biggest issue is everybody's good. There's absolutely zero guarantee wins in this conference right now.
I wish there was like a TV package on ESPN or, FS1 or something where we could see everybody play. Like I go to statistics and then I go to replays online myself.
Yeah, no, this league sometimes gets covered by, like our game Thursday night, it's on CBS Sports and ESPN. I think our BYU games on ESPNU, but a lot of games sometimes that doesn't get seen nationally. The league doesn't, outside of Gonzaga, sometimes you don't have a true understanding and respect for the type of talent of coaches and players that are in this league. But it's, I've been in a lot of different conferences. This is absolutely one of the best leagues in the country.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Now, being fourth in the conference and allowing only 69 points per game, how do you structure your team defense with the matchups you're going to face in the WCC?
Yeah, well, we just want to be fundamentally sound, going back to how do you prepare. We play Thursday, Saturday in this league. So you have a one-day prep for Saturday. You've got to be really sound defensively in terms of what your principles and what your foundation is, because from Thursday to Saturday, Friday, you're not going to be able to go live and do a lot. You have to trust your principles. So, what we do every day from practice, whether it's beginning of our first practice to today, is every day we stick with core stuff and how we play the pick and roll, how we shrink the floor on the weak side, like just our basic stuff, because we can't go over 90 plays on Thursday or Friday to get ready for the next game. You have to trust your principles and your foundation. And, so that's kind of how we try to do it here. So it's every day of constant repetition on, how our system's built, on the terminology, and then just on the fundamental of it. We do that every single day. And I felt like our first couple of years, we didn't really have completely the pieces we needed to play how I wanted to play. This is really the first representation of that, because now we're out of COVID and we've been able to add some things that allow us to be the defensive team that we want to be and the offensive team that we want to be. We're still nowhere where we ultimately want to be, but we're most certainly on that path.
Last thing, Coach, we're in an analytics-driven era in all of sports. I was curious, as for you at Loyola Marymount, which ones of those do you watch most and reflect your team, maybe to the point where you kind of work on those and try to prep the players with them?
Yeah, I mean, analytics is so many things. I think sometimes people get caught up in just the sheer numbers of the game, but we go much deeper than that here. We bought a system called Catapult,
Mm-hmm.
and our guys wear it underneath their jersey and practice and games. And there's a device that's kind of like a little sports bra, so to speak, with a chip in the back. And after every practice, our strength coach monitors that with the computer system, and the analytics we get back from that is the load on each guy, the strain on their body. So I have that for each player, what kind of load the practice was, how heavy of a practice it was, and what that does for me, it helps me adjust day to day. I may go, hey, I want to go kill our guys tomorrow. We're going to go long, go hard, and the feedback is, your guys, if yesterday they put out what they would put out in 2 games, so that
Sure.
allows me to adjust. From a systematic standpoint, I think numbers create focus for your players. The great thing about analytics, it gives you a lot of information. The bad thing, it gives you a lot of information. I don't like to overfeed our guys with that. There's got to be clarity. We may have a lot as a staff, but I'll use it to just make a point or put an exclamation to a point we're trying to make. For example, if we're playing Duke, hey guys, Duke's really good in transition. They're scoring 1.45 points per possession, just to let you know. That would make them top 5 in the country. So I think when you can kind of give your kids those things where they go, wow, okay, that makes sense. And now there's greater urgency behind it. That's how we use it. Or, for example, for our players, analytically, we have a program that we use that kind of rates each player, almost like the NBA 2K video game. It gives them a number, right? So here's your number. You're a 62 out of 100, let's say. You're a 89. So, and you're 62 based on this. This is why you're so low. This is why you're so high. So those guys can see what they're rated. And that's something from a professional standpoint. If you're being scouted or people are looking at you, they can just go look at that number. Sometimes they have that. And just based on the number, they may not be interested in you. So I think it's a cool way for the guys to see, because it's something they can relate to in terms of video game. Wow, I'm doing pretty good. Wow, you know what? I got a lot of getting better to do. So it's those creative ways we kind of use it to stimulate them and get them kind of focused on the right things.
That's really interesting, Coach Johnson. That's one of the reasons why I love to keep doing this. Is I learn something from all of you guys that I talk to on here every day. It's kind of like a study all of basketball almost.
Yeah.
Coach Stan Johnson here with the Loyola Marymount Lions in one of the most beautiful campuses in the country there in Los Angeles. One of my favorite places in the world, of course, is Southern California. Coach, I appreciate your time. I wish you the best of luck, and I hope to talk to you again soon.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ken. Appreciate being on here with you.